So the next region is southern Mexico, or it includes the Gulf of Mexico. This region lies between two major bodies of water, that is the Gulf of Mexico, this part, and the Pacific Ocean on this part. It includes the states of Veracruz, Chiapas, and Tabasco. So Veracruz is considered the busiest port in Mexico, and this is also where the European conquerors started to settle. And this is where the Spanish first settled, which is why Veracruz has a significant Mediterranean influence. So some famous food in southern Mexico is the red snapper Veracruz. So this is the red snapper Veracruz. It is a whole fish or a snapper fish covered in sauce of tomatoes, onions, capers, Spanish olives, olive oil, and pickled jalapeno. And if I'm not mistaken, we also have a similar dish in the Philippines, just as this red snapper Veracruz. And then we proceed with also one of the famous food crops in Mexico. More than half of Mexico's coffee beans are grown in the Chiapas region, and this state, or the state of Chiapas, is one of the largest producers of cacao used to make chocolate. So Mexico is famous for its coffee beans and chocolate. So it is really such a blessed country when it comes to food. And probably, or undoubtedly, one of the most important contributions of Mexico into the global food scene is the discovery of chocolate. So the discovery of chocolate is attributed to the Mayan civilization. So the ancient Mayan civilization were one of the civilizations in Mexico. They were the first to cultivate the cacao tree. So the cacao tree is where you can get the cacao pods, and inside the cacao pods are the cacao seeds used to make chocolate. So they found that by first fermenting the pulpy seed, okay, so the chocolate is derived from the cacao seeds and not the cacao flesh. And then you dry it, you roast it, you crush it, and then you can make a potent, delicious drink. And then the Aztecs, or the Mayan civilization, okay, consider the seeds as gifts from God. So I'm going to show you a photo of the cacao. So this is a cacao fruit, and then when you slice it in half, the seeds will be revealed, and then the seeds will now be dried like this one, roasted, and then they will now be pounded to form a paste, and then that paste is now either liquefied or dehydrated and pulverized to form a chocolate. So those chocolate lovers out there, we really have to thank Mexico for bringing to the world one of the most loved food of humanity, which is chocolate. So chocolate just makes people happy. So chocolate is really one of the most important contributions of Mexico in the global food scene. Next, we go to the Yucatan Peninsula. The Yucatan Peninsula is where the Mayan civilization first settled, and this region comprised the states of Campeche, Yucatan, and Quintana Roo. The terrain of Yucatan is mountainous, and as I have mentioned, it is where the Mayan civilization already originated in 2500 BC. The Yucatan Peninsula is famous for game meat such as venison, wild turkey, and vegetables such as squash, cucumber, chili, tomatoes. Black beans is also famous, and the cooking method is uh, making use of a pib or a hand dug pit lined with stones and coals in which meats wrapped in banana leaves are cooked, and that is also one of the typical characteristics of Mayan cooking. It was the Spanish that introduced pork, beef, and chicken to Mexican cooking. The Yucatan Peninsula is also famous for their ground spice paste that is used for marinades, and that is what we call a recado. So we have a red version of recado that is called the rojo. It contains annatto seeds, Mexican oregano, cumin, clove, cinnamon, black pepper, allspice, garlic, and salt. So the annatto seeds gives it the mixture or the color red. And just as the mole, there are also different varieties of a recado. Next, we go to the Pacific Coast. Many of the traditions considered characteristically Mexican were created in Guadalajara in the state of Jalisco. So Jalisco is also one of the states that produce tequila in Mexico because it has a large agave plantation. The state of Oaxaca is one of the most mountainous states in Mexico, and most of the people living there are farmers, and they have mangoes and coffee as their common crops. Sometimes, the Oaxaca state is also called the land of seven mole because it is best known for its seven major varieties of mole. So here are the famous varieties of mole. You have the black mole, the one that uses chocolate or cocoa. You have the mole amarillo or the yellow mole. You have the mole coloradito or the little red. You have the mole almendrado that is with almonds. You have mole chichilo, a local name without translation. You have the mole verde or the green variety, and the mole colorado, which is the red variety. And the Pacific Coast is also famous for chocolate con leche, or more commonly known as chocolate con agua, or hot chocolate prepared with milk or just with plain water. So the drink is prepared with fresh paste or tablets of cocoa, which is in some stores are custom made with a mix of fresh cocoa, sugar, and cinnamon. So you can really put in or add in a little bit of spice when you are making some chocolate food stuff. Okay, so one of the most famous spice that is being mixed in chocolate food is the cinnamon. The Pacific Coast is also, sorry about the background noise. The Pacific Coast is composed of the states of Colima, Nayarit, Sinaloa, and Sinaloa is one of Mexico's largest agricultural states. It also has one of the largest fishing fleets. Sorry. The coast provides deep sea fish such as marlin, swordfish, tuna, and sea bass, as well as shallow water fish and shellfish. All of these three states are important for their coconut, coffee, and banana plantations, and also they have orchards of avocado, lime, mango, mamey, and tamarind. Nayarit, which is one of the states, is famous for its chili sauce called salsa huichol. And this sauce is made from a variety of chilies, spices, vinegar, and salt, and is used like the American Tabasco. And lastly, you have the Baja California Peninsula. It is divided into two states, the Baja California and the Baja California Sur. In Baja California, Tijuana is one of the most visited border cities in the world because Tijuana is really just a nearby city next to California. The fertile valleys of Guadalupe, San Antonio, Santo Tomas, and San Vicente is where you can find Mexico's wine producing region. So, in this region, you can find vineyards, and this region of Mexico produces some of their famous wines. The food in this region tends to be influenced by the north with the use of flour tortillas, burritos, tacos, red meat, and machaca, which is equivalent to the beef jerky of the United States. Baja California Sur, which is the second division, only became a state in 1974 when tourist resorts such as Cabo San Lucas and Cabo San Jose were developed. So it is in these coastal waters of the Baja California and Baja California Sur that the seafood were harvested, and those seafood harvests includes sole, tuna, sardines, mackerel, clams, shrimp, and lobster. So aside from the different agricultural produce of Mexico, they really have an abundance of fresh seafood. And to end this discussion, I'd like to give you another trivia. This is also one of the famous food stuff that is being produced in Mexico. This is a type of nut. So this one is a photo of the nut. Okay, this one is it's a very raw state, and then it is now being dried until it becomes like this. This is now the edible phase of this nut, and this nut is really famous because it is being used in making chocolate products such as this one. So this specific nut is also considered the most expensive nut in the world. So the trivia question is, what do you call this type of nut, which is also one of the famous produce of Mexico? So again, you have to type your responses in the comments section of this video, and I hope you have learned a lot of the dishes and the cuisine of Mexico, which is really very, very interesting. So that's all for this discussion, and thank you all for listening.